Hi, I'm Jon Kirkman. I'm a music journalist and a broadcaster based in the UK. And what we're talking about today is this another wonderful clamshell box containing wonderful treasures. This time it's Asia. Should stop exaggerating. They're great albums. Wonderful treasures, well, that's in the listing. And for me, they are. They're wonderful albums. It's called the Reunion Albums 2007 2012, which was when the band, in its original format, which featured Jeff Downes, Steve Howe, John Wetton, and Carl Palmer, all got together again and made some great albums. There they are on the back. Fantasia, double live album, brilliant. Phoenix, that was the first studio album they made, obviously called Phoenix for the right reasons. Then you got Omega, that was the second album. And then there you've got XXX, aka 30, which was to celebrate the 30th anniversary. And there is a picture of the band. Now, I saw this lineup lots of times live, and to me, they hadn't lost any of their fire. I must say that they were incredible. And, I'm a bit biased, I've got to say, having known all the guys since before they formed Asia. And what you get here, of course, I must mention the Roger Dean artwork on the front. Isn't that amazing? Again, this is the sort of thing you wish you'd have a 12-inch box for, really. But inside you get a booklet. Doesn't that look great? Some of this artwork is just amazing from Roger. He never ever disappoints. And yeah, look at that. I mean, it is. It's exactly what you want. Now, musically, of course, there you go. That's a picture of the boys. Musically, it's exactly what you would expect. What I would like you to do is start with this one. This is Fantasia Live. Now, what you get on here is obviously classics from the original catalogue and a few selected tunes from the reunion albums at the time. But you also get some great songs from each of the guys' particular previous bands. So you get Fanfare for the Common Man, Roundabout, and of course Jeff does his normal solo video called The Radio Star. And this is something that the band never did when they were first going out. They do something like Man with the Golden Arm, the theme from the film Man with the Golden Arm, which was a Frank Sinatra film, because they only had the one album, and the album took off so well that they were actually playing huge venues. So what they had to do is they all had to do solos, and then they'd play this sort of Man with the Golden Arm thing or something else. They didn't really want to hark back to the previous bands that they'd been in. So have a listen to this first. Now, all these albums here, as I've said, and here, this is the first one, Phoenix. I actually broke the story, I think, of Asia reuniting, because I was with John and Jeff at an Icon gig, and I think it was 1985, 86, and they told me that it was going to happen. It's going to, at that point, it was going to be, I think, yes, the 25th anniversary. But again, the artwork is just great, isn't it? Roger Dean, and look at that. How wonderful is that? That's beautiful artwork. And of course, because it's Roger Dean, and I will say, I've discussed this with Roger, it was nothing like Yes. It was a totally different style, and yet still very much Roger Dean who'd done it. But it was very much a different thing from Yes. This is very much a thing, like sort of a new process for Roger, because a lot of his stuff started off in the late 60s and early 70s. But again, when Asia came around in 82, I think Roger decided he'd had to move on a bit. And of course, the first Asia album looked totally different. I didn't think it was Roger Dean until I read the credit at the back. I think, wow, that's totally different. It's really good. And again, he stuck with that. The Asia logo, again, very, very striking. And, you know, again, with the eyes, I mean, isn't that scary? But really, really sort of evocative, and also establishes a brand as well. I know people don't like brands, and everyone used to call Asia corporate rock. They weren't, not in my opinion. They're just a band who kind of added a commercial edge to progressive rock, and they still do when they're about. Sadly, John Wetton no longer with us. Great shame. He was a lovely man, a beautiful person, and really creative, and probably one of the best singers I'd ever heard, to be honest with you. Unique in that sense, and he was a great bass player and guitarist and piano player. What can I tell you about that? And he'd been in some really important bands, not least of all King Crimson, in probably the most popular period of King Crimson's lifetime. Robert Fripp told me that the albums from that period, from like Lark's Tongues through to Red, that was the most popular period for the band in terms of what people wanted to buy in the King Crimson Collectors Club. So again, more kudos for John Wetton. And again, with Asia, I mean, he really was the heart and soul of Asia. That's not to dismiss the other guys in it, who all made up a very, very important part of the band, which kind of towards the end of the 80s did fragment a little. But when the band got back together in the 2000s, or the noughties as it's known, they really did go out and do some great shows. And as I said, this album really shows them off to a fine degree. And that's called Fantasia. So it's available now. It's in the shops, or you can get it from your online dealer. Let's be honest, Amazon, or you may have a favourite online dealer like Burning Shed, who are also very, very good. But I've loved this, and I've been playing it a lot, I have to be honest, and say I've been playing it a great deal. Because you know what? They were, well, I don't know what's happening with Asia right now. I know there may be something else coming out, then again, there may not. But we'll wait and see. But I have to say, I've got a lot of love for this band, and I know a lot of other people have as well. So there it is, the reunion albums 2007, 2012, Asia, collected together in a nice clamshell box. Go and buy it now. Do yourself a favour, because this contains material that really does stand up to the first two Asia albums, which of course were made up of Steve Howe, Jeff Downes, John Wetton, and also Carl Palmer. So the original lineup of Asia collected together from their reunion period.